Another studio day. Time to go work on the demo for the boys. Open up Logic, get this demo started. Let's see. Get to writing some parts, I guess, today. Start to work on that next song. I guess I could try to record acoustic drums today. I don't know. Maybe I'll just do MIDI drums like always. MIDI drums. There we go. What guitar am I going to use today? Guess I could go for the Dan Electro, maybe. Maybe the Telly? Nah, I'll just go to Jazzy like always. I love Jazzy. Maybe I could record an amp today? The Kemper is just so convenient though. There we go. I swear I just always use the same stuff. So if you're like me, then you probably just have a ton of gear laying around. Just to name a few things, I have currently in the room 8 guitars. I have a bass guitar. Since I've been making music, I've owned 3 different pairs of studio monitors, 3 different audio interfaces. I've actually gone through like 3 or 4 computers at this point. I've had an Axe Effects, I have my Kemper profiling amplifier now, and I have a Helix at my church that I play every Sunday. The point I'm trying to get across, I've had a lot of gear and I still have a lot of gear. And there kind of comes a point when you start to realize whenever you're making music and stuff, there's actually a lot of gear around my room or my home studio, whatever you're working in, that I don't ever really even use. I never really even think about this gear. And not only am I not using this gear, there is actually some other gear that I'd much rather have, and this gear that I'm not using is taking up the space that gear could be taking up. So I mean, basically, I'm at a point now where I have a ton of stuff laying around and it's all really mediocre gear. I mean, I'm only using a few of the items every now and then. Today I want to talk about when, in my opinion, it is time to let go of some gear. I know it's really hard, a lot of us don't really enjoy doing it, but every now and then you need to let go of some gear. If you enjoyed the video, please do smash that like button and maybe leave in the comments some gear that you've recently had to get rid of. I know it's hard, man. It's hard. If you enjoyed the video, please do hit that subscribe button, and then you can see more videos from me in the future. Let's go and get started with the video. So after really thinking about the projects that I take on consistently out of my studio, and then what I do at my job at my church, I've realized there's really just a ton of stuff here that just never really gets used. I mean, I really just don't even need it. I primarily play on Sunday mornings at my church, and then I'm recording kind of like pop rock stuff out of my home studio right now. So everything I'm doing really only requires a standard 6-string guitar. And I mean, speaking of recording stuff, I'm doing everything in the box, and I'm recording stuff directly through my Kemper into my audio interface. So I have this drum set back here that really never even gets any love. So there's just a lot of stuff sitting around that I enjoy having, but it doesn't get used and it's really just taking up space. So I mean, if you take into consideration that I'm really only recording like pop rock stuff or playing praise and worship stuff on Sunday mornings, and I'm never recording real drums, I'm always using MIDI drums, I don't really need 2 7-string guitars, and I don't really need an acoustic drum set, sadly. And also, kind of while I was thinking about the things that I don't use, I was also taking some time to think about the things that would actually make my job significantly easier or just make the quality of my work go up. So I would love, ideally, to have 2 or 3 guitars to just cover all my bases. Something with single coils, primarily like a Telly, something with P90s, and then something with humbuckers. I think that plus one of my 7 strings, just keep one of those. I think that would cover pretty much all the bases I would want out of just any kind of guitar stuff. Also, considering that I'm doing everything in the box, I currently have a Universal Audio Apollo Twin X Duo. So the Duo, if you don't know, is pretty much the second to last in the line of audio interfaces that Universal Audio is currently producing. It has the second to least amount of DSP. Universal Audio plugins use onboard DSP from their interfaces for you to be able to use a plugin. So if you're not plugged into a Universal Audio interface or a Universal Audio satellite, you cannot use the Universal Audio plugins. And let me tell you something, if you don't know about Universal Audio plugins, I love them. Some people will say that there's no difference between Universal Audio plugin and just a normal, like another plugin. And it may be some kind of placebo effect, but it makes me feel awesome whenever I'm using just anything from Universal Audio. So I would love to have some more DSP on my Universal Audio interface. That could either be me getting a beefier Universal Audio interface or adding a satellite to up the DSP. And then I would just love just all the Universal Audio plugins. If someone from Universal Audio is watching this, I will be your ambassador. I will be your endorsee. I will eat, live, and breathe Universal Audio. Hit me up with that. Considering all the work I'm doing is in the box, I need a better interface or better DSP out of my interface. I need a few really high-end guitars to cover my basses, a really good bass to cover that bass, and then some really good microphones, and then I will be able to cover everything that I'm doing out of my home studio and at my church. So to finally actually get to the topic of the video, when is it a good time to start selling off gear? To answer this question, I'm actually going to turn to some wisdom that I've gotten from my wife. I have not lived like this, but since marrying her, this is kind of something that we hold to in our home. If something is taking up space and we haven't used it in 3 to 4 months, then we probably won't miss it if it's just gone. We really kind of adhere to this rule primarily with our clothing. We'll go through our closets every 3 to 4 months, and if there is a piece of clothing, t-shirt, something that we haven't worn in the 3 to 4 months, obviously stay within the seasons. I mean, I'm not gonna throw away my winter clothes because I haven't been wearing them in the summer. But if we haven't been wearing some of these clothes, then we will either donate those or sell those. That has really been awesome just for us to keep our home less cluttered, and then you pretty much only have the clothes that you actually enjoy wearing. I wear these t-shirts all the time just because I'm comfortable in these t-shirts. So I kind of think that this wisdom and this kind of mindset can be beneficial for us in our home studios as well. So I mean, if you look around the room, you can probably tell that I have not done an awesome job of adhering to this rule in my home studio. I think with this move that my wife and I have coming up though, and kind of just with this new mindset that I have, it's really going to be a good opportunity for me to start adhering to this mindset in my home studio. And maybe every 3 to 6 months, kind of just looking around and kind of taking time to evaluate what projects I'm working on and what tools and pieces of gear I'm actually using. If one of my guitars hasn't been picked up in 6 months, there's probably a chance that some random kid on eBay or Reverb would enjoy that guitar much more than I would, and it's kind of just a shame that it's just hanging up on the wall for decoration. For example, I haven't picked up either one of those 7-string guitars in months, honestly. I haven't written a heavy piece of music in a while. And I mean, that's a shame, and I'm definitely going to keep at least one of them to write heavy music in the future, but I mean, like, that's just not the stage of life I'm in right now. I'm not writing heavy music, so there's no need for me to have more than one 7-string guitar. I'm not recording those drums like I thought I would, and if I were to sell one of those guitars, that drum set, and maybe a few other pieces of gear, then I could probably fund one of those 335 copies that I've been looking at. And I know for a fact that that's something that would get a ton of use in my studio and at church right now. You know what, maybe in the future I'll take a look at selling that 335 copy because there's some other thing I need to buy. I've kind of started to realize and respect that you go through stages in life and you go through stages in your home studio, and not all of the tools or all of the gear that we have lying around is conducive to the stage of life that we're in. And it's okay to let go of some stuff every now and then. My final point on this is kind of how healthy I think it may be for my workflow and for my productivity in my home studio for me to have less of this clutter sitting around. I mean, like, if you can't really see the shelf, but this shelf just has a ton of crap to rummage through. If I want some guitar strings or like fretboard polish or just any kind of like cleaning rag or picks, anything like that, I have to just rummage through a ton of crap to get to that. So I think just in general, having less stuff, like I was saying earlier, just having less clothes in the closet. I know that I'm gonna wear this shirt anyway, so why go through all my clothes to find this shirt? The same thing applies with guitars and just everything that goes with that, and just even plugins, really. Why would I spend time rummaging through or trying to decide on what guitar I'm going to use on a project, or what EQ I need to use on this, or what set of strings I'm going to put on, etc. It goes on forever. Why would I spend time, or waste time really, trying to figure that kind of stuff out whenever I know what I like and I know what I typically go for? Just grab that and just make it as easily accessible as possible. I think there's a ton of value in knowing what tools you're going to use and what the project calls for, grabbing whatever tool that project calls for and just getting to work. So again, finally, I'm going to reiterate, I think having gear is cool, and just enjoying that gear is kind of just part of the whole thing. This is all really just about us having fun in the end anyways. If you're ambitious towards writing some music or making YouTube videos or something like that, don't get in your own way. And I feel like having too much gear is exactly that. You're getting in your own way. Having too many cameras or too many microphones or too many guitars or just a lot of crap that you have to go through before you get started making the video or making the song. Really, you're just getting in your way. So don't do that to yourself, man. I'm gonna stop doing that to myself, and I'm going to be as productive and as creative as possible moving into the future. If you guys enjoyed the video, like I said earlier, please hit that subscribe button, smash that like button. It helps out the channel a ton. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. I'll see you guys in the next one.